Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Gazelle podcast. So a bit of a different one today. I've actually got the pleasure of interviewing two Gazellites. So we'll do some quick intros. I mean, you already know me. You know Gary, but Gary.
Yeah, so I'm the commercial director here at Gazelle.
And our newbie making his podcast debut today.
I'm Mike, senior broker here at Gazelle, specialising in recruitment and the umbrella sector.
Fantastic, which is very handy, because we're here today to talk about the recruitment and umbrella sector. So thank you for making that really clear, Mike. So yeah, guys, look, you know, you guys spend all day, every day, pretty much, and some evenings, talking to recruiters that weekend. Well, yeah, okay. I didn't want people to think that you were overworked or anything, but yeah, talking to recruiters, to insurers, to umbrella businesses, payroll, and a whole gambit of different types of business that, you know, support those sort of sectors. And I think, you know, this is a conversation really today about, you know, how is that part of the industry going? Because I think, you know, where this has come from really is, you know, we talk to all these different businesses all the time. They probably don't talk to each other right a lot of the time. And we were saying this, you know, before the podcast was, you know, if I went and met another insurance broker out in for a beer in the street and how's business going, brilliant, fantastic, everything's great, the world's a great place, because it's natural. It's natural to say that everything's fantastic and brilliant. I'm not saying that everything isn't, but we know, right? We know from these podcasts, we know from the conversations that we're having that there are some challenges out there. So I think, you know, the first question really is, how is it going? How is the recruitment market in particular, we'll touch on first. How does that recruitment market feel like right now?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a strange market at the moment in that, of course, we deal with recruiters of all shapes and sizes. So we get to see kind of quite a panoramic view of what's going on. But it always kind of stands out when you're seeing people and they're saying, what are other people saying? Yeah. It's always an indicator that actually people are maybe not going quite as well as they're kind of making out on the outside. And so you kind of split it down per sector, finding that people in the kind of healthcare sector are, you know, talk to a lot of clients where kind of turnovers down, you know, kind of West Streeting has kind of caused a bit of chaos there.
He gets a lot of airtime, doesn't it?
But then other sectors are kind of doing okay. You know, kind of got oil and gas recruiters, they seem to be doing okay at the moment. You know, you've got Trump and his drill baby drill. So there's still good stuff going on in that sector. But it's really a time when you find out a bit more about some of the clients. So what we're finding at the moment is that people are just looking to see what else they can do. They're maybe not making the money that they were making before. So it's just really taking a look at, okay, how can we diversify? Kind of, you know, where, you know, if we're not making money we want to make in the UK, where are people making money? So almost spinning the globe and putting a pin on it. Okay, we'll see if we can make some money there.
Yeah, and I think, Mike, just to add to that, so obviously, you know, you've been with the business, well, you're the new boy still in the business, a few months now, so you can't speak to any of your old clients, something like that, so you've gone from a really established environment where you've dealt with probably the same clients for a number of years, environment where, as a new growing insurance broker, you know, we're still sort of grabbing hold of market share and everything, and, you know, we all know, let's be frank, right, we're winning lots of new clients. So you're having new conversations. What's the theme of that? Why are people, and this isn't just about us and insurance, right? But why are people even thinking about moving their insurance, for instance? Is it a cost thing? What sort of conversations are you having with clients?
I think it all comes down to service. You know, I think some of our competitors maybe it's a bit homogenised and very corporate and very corporate environment. Yeah. But I find a lot of clients are really looking for that boutique, specialised bespoke service, which sometimes gets lost in some of our competitors. So I think that's something that really is unique to Gazelle. Yeah. Where we can go the extra mile, or we can offer something that isn't an off-the-shelf package. We can go to various markets, create bespoke solutions, and give a real offering that some other competitors can't provide just off the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, we've had it recently, haven't we, where we've spoken to people and they've said, oh yeah, I've spoken to my broker. I've said, can I have some advice? And they've said, no. You know, like, we're not here to give advice.
Response, isn't it?
We're not here to give advice. How have you been, you know, like doing for the last 20 years? And it's as Mike says, picking some of the corporate environments, clients can get lost a little bit.
Yeah, and I think talk about it from an insurance perspective for a second. I think, you know, we know that there's lots of great products out there for recruitment firms, but I think quite often in different environments, and we're all guilty of this, I'm sure, in different places where you've kind of got one solution. That's the solution that you're going to kind of, talk about and push people down. When it comes to actually, again, we've talked about this in previous podcasts, kind of the reason that we exist in this sector, and we've decided to re-enter it from my perspective and sort of move us onwards, is that the sector just changed so much, right? You guys have got even more experience than I have in it. And, it's just changed beyond recognition, right? So I think there has to be changes in terms of products or offerings or solutions that we find. So how many conversations, Mike, again for a second, how many conversations do you have with people about, well, actually we're looking at this territory, are we going to do something different sector-wise?
Yeah, we see a number of clients are really looking to grow into the US sector. That's something we can specialise in. And also, marine cruisers now, it's more of an indication of the UK economy and the potential contraction of the UK economy. A lot of recruiters are looking into other business ventures and activities that aren't specifically traditional in the recruitment in the recruitment nature. And that's something we can really offer and specialise in and go the extra mile. So rather than being it passed over in other competitors, maybe that will go to a different team. We can keep it all in house, so we know that client. Or we can say, okay, we can go here, we can go there, we can offer the very specific solution and not pass it on to another member of the company somewhere where they've had no prior experience, or they don't know the client as well as maybe we do. We give that really unique, bespoke and personalised service.
And thinking about that and then just sort of wrapping yourself around the client, how many conversations do you think about, the package approach, going back a few years where PI, liability and different covers now? We know package means something very different now, and I think if you're buying an insurance product, you're buying a whole host of different covers, often sometimes included, sometimes not, sometimes included, and you feel like you're getting cover, and it's a really, really small amount of volume. So there's lots of almost confusing kind of messages, and I think so. How important is it to have different solutions, and how many conversations are we having with lots of new clients around? Well, actually, let's just talk about that cyber policy or that MLP or whatever that might be. I promise I wouldn't get into the insurance. I think too boring insurance, but I think it's really important. That there is a recognition here that sometimes a one-size-fits-all off-the-shelf approach is not always the right approach, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So over the years, it's become more of a commodity, more of a package. It's like, oh, you're a recruiter, you're X, Y, and Z. Yeah, great. Here's an off-the-shelf product, which for some people that's great. That works. But as the recruitment sector changes and evolves, actually less and less that's going to make sense for people. And it's, whilst we do have our own products and everything, we do have off-the-shelf solutions. Actually, it's that traditional broking piece of talking to the client, understanding what they do, what they want to do, and building it around them, not getting stuck in that, as Mike said, like off-the-shelf package, where it's you're either a client of ours or you're not.
And I don't want to put a number on it, but you guys, neither of you are young, right? You've been doing this for a lot of years. If we add together the cumulative experience in our business in the recruitment sector, it's 30 plus years, but with the team that we've got. So, and when you grow with us, I think, let's be honest, that there's different ways of selling all sorts of different products, but if I want to go and buy a car, I want to talk to someone that knows a bit more about cars than I do, or at least as much about cars as I do. I preferably more. But, you run a business, you understand your business, you live it, you breathe it. When you're buying something from, let's say, an insurance product, and I think actually the advising comes in and someone says, no, you can't have advice, that's a really scary place. We're a profession, right? Insurance broking world is a profession. It's an advice-giving, consultative profession. So how important is it, and has it been, and you guys live and breathe this, for all those new clients that you're winning on a daily, weekly basis now, to be speaking to people that have got experience in the recruitment sector, who really understand the challenges and the dynamic of what that sector's going on? How important is that conversation?
Yeah, well, it really is. It's not just about, okay, here's a policy. It's about really sometimes becoming a friend, a trusted advisor, and if someone who's got real experience and inside knowledge of that industry, it isn't just saying, okay, here's a policy, it's X pounds, see you next year. It's all about, okay, if you've got a problem, if you've got an issue, if you're going into a new sector, just feel to pick up the phone at any time, and we can talk it through in detail. And it's really just that trusted advisor friend relationship you have with the client, and not a okay, here's an off-the-shelf policy, we'll see you in 12 months.
Yeah. And flipping that on its head, sorry Gary, I know you're going to jump in with some absolute gold, I'm sure. But actually, so let's be fair. So what we've got on the other side of that is, as a business, even though we're a young business, and this is one of the things that excites me the most about where we're at, because, you know, it's not just about, Gazelle's 2 years old. We've got a combined overall knowledge base in our business of, a couple hundred years of insurance experience, right? We know our stuff. We've got great relationships. We work with some great markets, and actually those insurers are taking our advice, right? They want to tap into what we know, into the relationships that we have, into the daily conversations we're having with recruiters about the dynamic of the market. What's the cover requirements? How important is that side of it been, certainly since you've been at Gazelle, to be able to almost help the market move forward?
Yeah, and it's one of the great reasons for Mike is here with us as well, in that, we talk about being a trusted advisor to clients, but it's also the insurers as well. And you kind of find as you go along, more and more, you might get an insurer looking at you saying, okay, what do you think we should do here? Or you're going to them and saying, okay, here's what we need to do. Here's what other people would do and how other people have looked to solve that. To almost kind of nudge people in the right direction as well, because ultimately, we're middlemen. We're sat in the middle. We've got to bring people from both sides into the centre. And
that is fundamentally the most important part of what we do, right? And I think, people forget that sometimes, a client will come to us, you're an insurer, so you've got a solution, whatever else, or an insurer, very few that we deal with would think, right, you just, get a load of clients in. It's about that advice, that support. Why do people buy from broker, right? You could go and buy insurance from, online facilities and whatever else. There's nothing wrong with that. When I set up at Gazelle, I bought our first liability policy online, because why would you not, right? A couple hundred quid, whatever else. We had no staff or anything, no office or anything. So what's our rate? But actually, obviously, is that, the business evolves and grows. And that's the thing. It's about staying on top of it. And I think as a business, and we know this is a young business that have gone through all the dynamics and the shifts of what it's like to grow a business, that sometimes the last thing you're thinking about is an insurance product, or, something that ain't the sexiest thing in the world, but what you are thinking about on a daily basis is risk. You're thinking about, these are the challenges, these are the things that might go wrong. And I think I use an example of someone we were talking to not long ago, who was telling us about a cyber incident, right, where they thought they had some cover, and again, not necessarily the cover that they needed for where they were going as a business. And I think that's where it's so important to have that experience, right, to be able to spot that.
Yeah, I mean, cyber is the perfect example, because it comes in so many different shapes and forms, and really there's only one shape or form you want to see it in, which is what I'd call a proper cyber data policy. On policies, you see so many extensions where it's a watered down version, and sometimes that's pretty diluted, it's more water than juice. But people see the word cyber. And I think, oh, cyber liability. Oh yeah, I'm all for that. And you're not. You really need to be getting some advice on, okay, what actually is it I've got here? Does that suit? Is it what I think it is? Often not. Okay, what do I actually need? Because as me and Mike were talking about yesterday, with some recruiters, they'll have their public liability, their professional indemnity, and sometimes they're quite low risk from that perspective. Actually, if it wasn't for contractual requirements, you'd be buying the cyber policy first.
Yeah, and again, that is an interesting point, and we're seeing that more and more in the market. You hear more about cyber issues now than you do perhaps about other types of more traditional insurance risks. And I'm sure in 10 years' time, people will be looking at it that way around. And that's what's happened with things like PI and MLP and those over the years, where it wasn't necessarily perceived risk because it's not someone cutting the finger off, or it's not something like that. It's not something being stolen. Actually, the world's shifting, right?
Yeah, in their recruitment office, what's more likely to have somebody trip over a wire? Probably quite likely today. Or they have a cyber attack. That is obviously more likely.
Yeah, and it really is about selling a product that's fit for purpose, not just tagging on, a bit of extra cover, and it says the right word. It's about are we giving you and selling you a product that when in the time of in the hour of your need, it's there and it works, rather than just like, okay, I've got cyber because it says cyber on my schedule.
Yeah, which you can do by understanding the business, right? And again, that's going to be so important.
For me and Mike, we've got to look at ourselves in the mirror each night and know that we've done the best for our clients. And
sorry to hear about
so I think
pull mirrors. So just sort of quickly moving on, and I think when we talk about the recruitment sector, we often focus just on recruiters. There's a whole food chain out there. Right? We talk about umbrella. So what does umbrella mean? We can go into another conversation. Those in the umbrella and payroll sectors know what that means. But there's a whole sort of food chain out there that's attached to the sector. So again, are you seeing changes in that space? We know we've talked about legislation, we've talked about all the things that are coming up there, but what other trends are you seeing in that space?
Yeah, of course, like us, umbrella companies are a supplier to the recruitment sector, so they're having to evolve and adapt as well. In the same way that we're looking at overseas territories, we've got clients planning to the US, we've got clients planning to Europe, Southeast Asia, wherever it might be. Umbrella companies are looking at kind of those same solutions as well. So increasingly, I'm getting calls from payroll companies saying, we now offer international payroll. Is this covered? What do I need to do to be covered? And then kind of past that as well. I mean, we've had some kind of great guests on the podcast whereby these payroll companies are often people who are giving the recruiters advice on the employment rights bill, on the changes to the umbrella regs themselves. And as you say, as we've spoken about, it's being that trusted advisor again, giving that kind of holistic advice. Yeah,
cool. I think just sort of wrap it up here, because there's so much we talk about, and I know we talk about these things in there's a number of different interviews and podcasts out there now that we've done where we've discussed some of these topics in more detail. But Mike, I'm going to ask you to get your crystal ball out for a second here. So we see, trends shifting and whatever else, and I think that globalization of recruiters, we're seeing regulatory shifts and everything. So, in simple terms, what next? What do we think we need to look out for?
I think next? I've seen a lot of companies consolidating, and just like in insurance, you see big firms joining together, banding together. I think that's what we're going to see across the umbrella recruitment sector, just the big boys becoming even bigger. So it, potentially putting pressure on squeezing the smaller guys. So it really is about just keeping an eye out and see what's happening in the market, and just having an awareness of how the economy, the umbrella and the recruitment sector is really a mirror of the economy.
And I think, as we've seen in the insurance sector, the more regulation you have, the more rules and requirements there are. Actually, you do get that consolidator. You get the big boys get bigger, and then some guys try to set up an insurance broker themselves and find it. This cost you didn't expect.
But it's also, the best thing you've ever done. Yeah. So that's the thing, right? So there'll always be consolidation, there'll always be businesses starting up out of it. But I think there's a theme here, right, that comes through, and it's almost like this is all leading up to this point. But it's quite often about, if you're going to let's say go from that consolidated environment into a entrepreneurial environment, it's about getting the right advice, right? It's about, no matter what you do, it's around surrounding yourself by the right kind of people. And we talk about insurance, obviously, but what we try to do as part of our food chain is to bring other people from the industry that support the industry around, to make sure that there's a holistic sort of solution in place. And things like our recent announcement and launch of Chartergates as a partner, and from a legal perspective, giving access to free legal advice to our clients is just so important. And I think that's the thing, is it's out there, it exists. There are a lot of really good companies that care about the sector, that want to give good advice to the sector. It's just making sure you go to the right people, right?
Yeah, there's Mike said it's about being a trusted partner. So arrangements like that, where it really helps us is because recruiters are adapting, evolving at the moment. People are coming to us and saying, we're going to do statement of work contracts, or we're doing insourcing contracts with the NHS, new activities, and we're coming up with solutions for these from an insurance perspective. But also with that comes things like, we need new contracts. I think that is. We can help you with that as well. We can find the support for you on that too.
Gents, it's been fantastic talking to you about this subject. Now, we please go back upstairs and answer some calls from our recruit clients who are ringing. They want some cover. Thank you very much for listening, guys. We'll speak to you soon.
Cheers.